economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. If you do not understand racism, which is white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Confuse you. Confuse you. Confuse you. Confuse you. If you do not understand, confuse you. If you do not understand, confuse you. If you do not understand, confuse you. Confuse you.
My definition of white supremacy and racism, I use those two terms as synonyms. I use the same definition for both terms. That definition is as follows: a global system of people who classify themselves as white and are dedicated to abusing and or subjugating everyone in the known universe whom they classify as not white.
Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war.
Man lives in the sunlit world of what he believes to be reality. But there is, unseen by most, an underworld, a place that is just as real, but not as brightly lit. A dark side.
Race soldier.
See this house right here? Yeah. Belonged to a dude named Spooky. Mean old Vato Loco. That motherfucker was crazy. Nobody fucked with Spooky. Even the cops respected him, you know? We used to watch his house. They gave that motherfucker 230 years in the penitentiary, too. You like dogs?
Yeah, I got a Rottweiler.
Yeah. Rotties are good. Dobermans are better. Spooky used to raise Dobermans. So I'm in the second week of my patrol. I'm rolling out here with my T.O. We pull up at Spooky's house. There's this old man out front named Too Fine, drunk, smiling, beating the shit out of this female Dobie. Beautiful dog, 7 months. He's beating the shit out of her with a garden hose. Dogs crying, yelping, and I was raised with dogs, so I'm thinking to get out, do something to this motherfucker. My T.O. says, no, it's cool. He starts waving. At Too Fine, right? This motherfucker starts waving back at us, just like smiling and shit with one hand, beating the fuck out the dog with the other. I'm about to lose my mind. My T.O. looks me in the eye, good old boy too, looks me right in the eye and said he's teaching the dog to hate niggas. I said, huh? He said Spooky paid Too Fine $20 to beat the shit out of the dog to teach him to hate niggas. I don't know who's asked to kick. T.O., Spooky, Too Fine. I was ready to quit. Ready to jump out that black and white and go take a bus home.
That's fucked up.
Man. I'm saying that to say this. As soon as you think you've seen everything out on these streets will teach you something twisted. Yeah.
Race soldier. Oh, the racists deem as policing anything that strengthens racism, because the racists don't do anything that's not going to give strength to racism. So they'll put any kind of label on it. So you can't get faked out by labels, because you know, they use every type of nice label that you can possibly think of on all kinds of poison, you know, and then they get you to attack the labels. See, that's why we have to sometimes change words. I always say that, hey, I don't have anything against police officers, you know, and nobody should. Why? A police officer practices justice. But since nobody practices justice, because that's impossible in a system of white supremacy, then you just call people by the titles that they want to be called, but it's with the understanding that the titles don't mean anything. It's the action is what means something. But when you use titles like, I don't say the police do anything to harm anybody. See, we have to change the language. I never say that. Policemen don't harm people. Well, if people are being harmed by people who are called police, then what do you call those people who are doing the harm? Don't you call them police doing the harm? The answer is no. Well, what do you call them? You call them racist suspects. Now we're getting somewhere. No, I don't think that's a police officer. I think that's he's pretending to be, or she is pretending to be. No. This is some pretense here. So pretending means there's something else going on here. So what do you call a person? Suspected racist.
Yes.
I suspect the person is a racist. I suspect that the person is not a police officer, because police officers don't do unjust harm to people. Police officers harm people who should be harmed for doing things that they shouldn't do. That's what police officers do. And police officers are helpful to protect and serve, many of them say. Protect people who are being harmed and serve the people who are being harmed. That's what police officers do. But race soldiers, suspected race soldiers, deliberately do harm to people. And so that's in the textbook.
Yes.
And that's also in the word guide.
Right.
Race soldier. That's different. So, but you don't call a person a race soldier because you're going to have to prove it. And you're not able to do that in a system of white supremacy.
Okay.
So you say what? Suspected race soldier.
Okay.
And your honor.
All right.
And they will say to you, what do you mean suspected race soldier? Suspected by whom? By me. You know.
Yeah, I can go
Oh,
on
yeah,
from
I'm the one doing suspected. Race soldier.
We're coming to get our check.
You are now listening to P.A.R. That's People Activity Radio. And I'm your host, John G. Horse. Welcome. You have found your family in a peaceful place. P.A.R. is a family-friendly information distribution program seeking to inform non-white people, in particular, black classified, and assist in counter-racist codification. The title of today's episode is Police Officers versus Race Soldiers, the importance of counter-racist codification. One more time. The title of today's episode is Police Officers versus Race Soldiers, the importance of counter-racist codification. Let's get it in. Hold on. Let me let Bobby Womack put in that work. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Where do we begin? And this is People Activity Radio, and I'm your host, John G. Horse. Welcome. You have found your family in a peaceful place, and I will repeat the title of today's episode, and it is Police Officers versus Race Soldiers, the importance of counter-racist codification. You understand me? And as I always say, you're going to ask me, what are you talking about, race soldiers versus police officers? Ain't that's the same thing, John G. Horse? And we're going to discuss that today.
Race soldier.
Under the system of racism, white supremacy, Neely Fuller Jr. tells us that there is only one jurisdiction. He tells us that there is only one religion. He tells us that there is only one law of the land. And the name of all of these jurisdictions, laws of the lands, and religion is one and the same. Neely Fuller says the only law of the land, the only religion, and the only jurisdiction that is in power, off up in here, is the global system of racism, white supremacy. And under that context,
Race soldier.
we people who are classified or subject to non-white classification and or black classification have to come to those terms of reality and develop counter-racist survival codification, most of which involves counter-racist thought, speech, and action, Neely Fuller tells us. And within the speech and the terms and the labels, Neely Fuller tells us,
Race soldier.
people who classify themselves as white and we believe that they believe in racism, white supremacy, and the proper term would be the suspected white supremacists, have developed codes in all areas of people activity which assists them in maintaining dominance.
Race soldier.
Thus, we call this the system of racism, white supremacy, and it is a system that involves individuals
Race soldier.
refining and maintaining it, and these individuals are classified as white. And we suspect, believe in white supremacy. See how I worded that? Suspect. Because under the system of racism, white supremacy, you can't prove whether somebody's a white supremacist or not. So, practical language or logic, you must place the word suspect or suspected racist, suspected race soldier, suspected white supremacist. You understand me? See how that works? This gonna be a quick hitter. We're not gonna sit here giving a long dissertation breaking down the difference between a race soldier and a police officer. Because in those two terms is confusion and the removal of confusion. And that's what we're going to discuss.
John G. Horse presents People Activity Radio, radiating counter-racist thought, speech, action, and less confusion. Keep learning and stay codified.
Let's move on. This is People Activity Radio, and I am John G. Horse. And if you find any of this information or content constructive, all I ask is that you give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you feel as if you need to or you want to. Good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter to me. Feedback is always welcome here on People Activity Radio. And subscribe if you have not subscribed. And if you think that like-minded individuals in your circle will find this information constructive and removes confusion, please share. Let's move on. So, the title involves police officers versus race soldiers. When discussing white terror domination, or as Neely Fuller called it,
Race soldier.
racism, white supremacy as a system, or systematic anti-blackness, The issue of police brutality always comes up in mainstream media, water cooler conversation at work, or simply amongst family and friends in a setting which involves beverages, food, party atmosphere, music, etc., etc. Police brutality. I'm here to tell you that those two terms cannot exist, because a police officer is supposed to be producing justice. So when talking about police brutality, the first thing somebody's going to tell you is, wait a minute, there's a couple of bad apples in the police department, but as a whole, it's a hard job, and all police officers ain't bad. And they have a point. Yes, they do. John G. Horse ain't gonna sit here and try to claim that all police officers are race soldiers. You understand me? We'll never do that. That's not logical. Doesn't make any sense. But what I will say is this. I just played a series of clips of incidents within domestic law enforcement agencies and or police departments.
Race soldier.
The first incident that I played, I believe, was regarding, and it was reporting on gangs within the LAPD. Let me rephrase that. It was reporting on police gangs in the LAPD, and I thought that the report was informative, but it left out a lot of facts. And the fact that it left out is white supremacists, gangs, white extremists, LAPD gangs are within the police department. Multiple, but they only highlighted one. And the one that they were highlighting was called the executioners. Now, they were known to mistreat non-white people, in particular black people, and
Race soldier.
their membership will only allow, follow me on this, will only allow
Race soldier.
men,
Race soldier.
and it won't allow non-white men, in particular, specifically African American. We here on People Activity Radio identify African American as people subject to black classification and descendants of United States enslaved and or foundational black Americans, as Tariq Nasheed have championed throughout his broadcast, and that will be the FBA community. So they specifically don't want black folk within this gang, which lets you know that's a tall tale. That's a tale, like they say in poker. That's a tale that this is a white supremacist institution. This is no different than these motorcycle gangs, the Hells Angels, the Vagos. Everybody can come up in that thing. But if you black, man, stay back. You ain't welcome. What's that telling you? Counter-racist logic is letting you know without telling you that this is a white, suspected white supremacist institution or organization. Let's move on.
Race soldier.
So these executioners do not allow for black police officers to join their gang. Now, it didn't say they wouldn't allow Asians. Didn't say they wouldn't allow Hispanics. It didn't say they wouldn't allow Middle Eastern and Saudi Arabians, all of which who most of the time classify themselves as white. And from my research, participate, help refine, maintain, dominating people who are subject to black classification in all areas of people activity. But that's another show. That's another topic. So let's move on.
Race soldier.
So within this report, no one ever said it was illegal to be white supremacist. No one ever said it was a criminal offense to have LAPD practicing anti-black mistreatment within law enforcement, and they went so far as to say the police chief of the LAPD is against and doesn't tolerate this type of behavior. Has there been any corrective action? Nothing but a bunch of lip service. They still sticking and moving. No pun intended. The next clip took place in Lancaster, also the LAPD, and you had an officer that lied about getting shot at the police station, and he specifically said that it was a sniper who shot him from across the street in a low-income apartment building, which there was a large percentage of people classified as black that lived in that low-income apartment building. Of course, they locked that thing down. They turned them people's apartments upside down. They locked down the community. And the people that were negatively affected and traumatized by this lie of this LAPD police officer were classified as black. Usual suspects. I believe the police officer was fired. I don't know if any compensatory action by way of treatment, by way of cash money payouts, was distributed to the majority black American victims of this lie within the police department. And I'm going to say, I suspect that this police officer was not a police officer. I suspect that he was a race soldier, just like the executioners. They are not police officers. They are race soldiers. Let's move on.
Race soldier.
The following clip took place in Baltimore, where a police officer was murdered. It just so happened that this police officer was going to testify against an elite unit which was suspected of corruption within the police department. He was threatened and intimidated by this unit. He called an anonymous line to report mistreatment and corruption that he had witnessed by this elite police unit. And he was out on patrol, and he wound up being murdered a day before he was going to trial to report against suspected race soldiers. So this is a case where this guy is doing police work, this police officer, and he's seeing corrupt race soldiers practicing criminal activity, and he reports it as he's supposed to do on what they say is an anonymous line, and he winds up going to work the day before the trial and being murdered. And the audio on his radio is unlegible, but his partner's audio was legible. You can hear everything he's saying, but his radio audio was unlegible, and there are no suspects. Oh, and let me to add ketchup and mustard to the story. Well, it was a high crime area, so that's just what happened. Those were the breaks. High crime area mean it was a community where a bunch of black folks was. They locked down that black community. They turned people's homes upside down looking for suspected black suspects for the murder of this quote unquote police officer that was getting ready to testify against suspected race soldiers within the same police department that he was in. Again, police officers versus race soldiers. Let's move on.
Race soldier.
The next story took place in Philadelphia, where an officer lied about being shot. There seems to be a thing amongst these suspected race soldiers, lying about being shot. In this particular case or report in Philadelphia, this officer lied about being shot. He said a black man shot him.
Race soldier.
And they turned the community, the black American community, upside down. They touched up some black suspects, the whole 9 yards. And then it comes out that they could not corroborate his claims. They could not find any evidence of this event taking place by way of surveillance cameras within the community, etc., etc. This guy was a race soldier. For some reason, this is some of the behavior that they do. Was a police officer, and you can only imagine how many lies this race soldier has gotten away with to get him to the point where he's going to lie about being shot by a black person. You have to have been lying since you've been there for you to think you was going to be able to pull this one off. And he ain't the only race soldier within that doggone police department, which probably is not a surprise to any of your listeners. But again, just another clip to give an example of the difference between a race soldier and a police officer. Race soldier sitting in there burning midnight oil, trying to figure out how he's going to maintain, refine, and participate in dominating, mistreating, and terrorizing people who are subject to black classification. Let's move on.
Race soldier.
The next clip that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to cut this off because I'm going to talk about one more individual, but after this individual. The next clip I'm going to address is the clip with the St. Louis, Missouri police officer who was classified as black. He's sitting in his driveway with his family, and there's a pursuit of two suspects, and he winds up identifying himself to the police officers that were chasing the suspects, and they are conversing. He's already been identified. They're conversing about what he saw. He's talking to the police officer, and some more police officers pull up and shoot him. Talking about drop your weapon.
Race soldier.
So, he said he goes to the emergency room, and, he's impaired. He's hurt. He was hurt by fellow officers who I suspect are race soldiers. They seen this black male. Clearly, I believe he had his weapon or something in his hand, his badge. They talking about drop your weapon, and it was the Wild Wild West. They just shot the man in the arm. Can't use his arm no more. All he's looking for is compensation, corrective action from the police department, but they're dragging their feet on getting him compensation. And in the report from his testimony, the police department that he worked for as a police officer told a completely different story about how he wound up getting shot.
Race soldier.
Man talking about he finna lose his house. He's just looking for this issue to be resolved. He was a police officer, and I suspect he was shot by a race soldier. And it's a sad case of police versus race soldiers. Now, the last individual I'm going to talk about is the infamous, the well-publicized police chief of the LAPD who went by the name of Chief Daryl Gates. And we know Daryl Gates by being the innovative, aggressive police chief that used to have a term called drop the hammer. He would bulldoze foundational Black American homes, and he is known to be one of the key parties in creating a militarized police force, adding a cutting edge unit, I believe, in the late 70s, early 80s, called the SWAT.
Race soldier.
And the SWAT, was primarily used to deal with foundational Black Americans during the crack epidemic, high crime, etc., etc. This show is not about all that, so we're not gonna get on that. LAPD Chief Daryl Gates
Race soldier.
made a call to a cardiologist by the name of Dr. Richard Allen. Now, I played this clip. Now, the Dr. Richard Allen was talking about
Race soldier.
Chief Daryl Gates wanted him to corroborate his theory that black people were dying from chokeholds because they were different than regular people, which is basically a racist pseudo science that the police chief was trying to get a cardiologist to corroborate, to give evidence of why the chokehold needed to be training and policy of the LAPD. And eventually the chokehold was eliminated because you clearly see that the LAPD was just killing black folk, and they had a code. The code was, I suspected that this black person was high off of PCP. And because they're high off of PCP, they become super strong, and there was no way that I could apprehend or arrest this individual without applying the deadly chokehold that we know killing black folk. Now, the funny thing about the chokehold, it was removed from an option of the LAPD eventually throughout the United States because everybody was killing black folk with the chokehold. Well, most police unit had suspected race soldiers applying this chokehold on people classified as black. So this thing was removed. So the alternative to the chokehold was these metal batons. And the metal baton method was, if you can't get the person to cooperate, or if you can't get the black person to cooperate, then you can use a pain method, meaning hit the limbs, and if they don't cooperate with you or obey your commands, then you just beat them till you break limbs. And this is the defense of the 4 officers that were accused of excessive force against Rodney King. And their defense was the chokehold would have prevented us from using the pain threshold method, meaning if you can't get them to comply, we're going to hit you with the stun gun. We suspect you on PCP. You're superhuman strong, so you're super Negro. So we're going to beat you down. And the only thing else that we can do, because we suspect that you on PCP and you the super strong Negro and you not responding to the beating like we think you should, we finna shoot you and take you off the planet. Fear for my life. Unarmed. And their thing was, no, this was said in the courtroom by, I believe, Sergeant Coon. They asked him, did Rodney King have any weapons? And Sergeant Coon's response was, yes, he did. He did have a weapon. The question then was, well, what weapon did he have? Because Rodney King was unarmed. I suspected his body was his weapon. We suspected he was on PCP. See, that code was being used in the 70s, and they were still using that code in the 90s. The super Negro codification of suspected race soldiers. That's why I had to kill him.
Race soldier.
So this is why Police Chief Daryl Gates was calling the cardiologist, Dr. Richard Allen, talking about some, man, black folk dying from the chokehold because they different and they black and they biology is not the same as regular people, meaning white folks. No, you ain't choking out white folks. That's why white folks ain't dying like black folks. You're practicing racism, white supremacy. You got race soldiers in your ranks. You understand me? Not police officers.
Race soldier.
So to make a long story short, we're not gonna drag this on out. I played a couple of clips. You can research those clips. This is basically just an episode where I am citing sources, and I would hope that you would be inclined to research and follow up on some of these stories that I have illuminated within this episode. It's just a refresher. You know, we find ourselves repeating ourselves all the time, those of us who produce counter-racist content, and that's all that programming is repetitive codes. And when discussing police brutality, understand that that term is confusing.
Race soldier.
Ain't no such thing as police brutality. Now, you got suspected race soldiers pretending to be police.
Race soldier.
Mistreating people who are subject to non-white classification, in particular black classification, and you have police officers, in most cases, who attempt to report
Race soldier.
these suspected race soldiers. But
Race soldier.
from my research, there is no protection for police officers within
Race soldier.
domestic law enforcement. Every time you see a police officer speaking up, every time you see a judge speaking up or not allowing race soldiers to run free within domestic law enforcement, these are the very people that wind up getting taken off the planet.
Race soldier.
Prime example is the last clip that I played. And I specifically played the clip of LAPD detective
Race soldier.
Mark Furman during the OJ trial. Lead detective who found the bloody glove. Lead detective who found the drops of blood in the Bronco. Lead detective who found the blood on the sock of OJ Simpson within his house. Known, self-proclaimed
Race soldier.
Nazi Germany collector. Known, self-proclaimed
Race soldier.
anti-black practitioner. Because this
Race soldier.
LAPD race soldier pretending to be a police officer was putting in so much race soldier work till he felt free to have himself taped
Race soldier.
on how he mistreats, terrorizes, beats up, and kills non-white people, in particular black people. He bragged about how he would beat down black suspects. Anything out of niggas' mouth, it's his words, not mine,
Race soldier.
is a lie. So it don't matter what they say. He bragged about planting evidence. He bragged about manipulating evidence. He bragged about breaking all constitutional rights and civil rights of people classified as black. He talked bad about black colleagues, talking about they ain't about nothing. He talked bad about the ACL, the NAACP, anything that had color in it, he had a problem with. Race soldier, white supremacist. Talking about if he could line all the niggas up and bomb them and shoot them, he do it.
Race soldier.
This is the lead detective on the O.J. Simpson trial. For all fellow victims who running around and repeating this, O.J. did it. Chant or cheerlead that the mainstream media has put up down y'all throats.
Race soldier.
Please take it upon yourself to research. Confirmed race soldier Mark Furman, the only one convicted of a crime in the O.J. Simpson trial of perjury in line. Talking about something, I pled the fifth because I didn't want to incriminate myself. Well, God dog it, if you want to incriminate yourself, all I got to say is he pled no contest to perjury. 3 months, I believe 3 years probation, something like that, slap on the wrist. Now this fool working on Fox News, making millions of dollars, and OJ just got his behind out of jail a year or two ago, something like that. On some trumped up kidnapping charges. But this episode is not about that. But
Race soldier.
LAPD, don't matter about what police department it is, you have a race soldier problem. Race soldiers seem to be protected, and anybody who speaks against race soldier practitioners within the police department systematically gets neutralized. Now that's either true or it's not true. And this is People Activity Radio, and I'm your host, John G. Horse. And I hope to have contributed to less confusion. And always remember, keep learning and stay codified.
education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. If you do not understand racism, which is white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Confuse you. Confuse you. Confuse you. Confuse you. If you do not understand, confuse you. If you do not understand, confuse you. If you do not understand, confuse you. Confuse you.
My definition of white supremacy and racism, I use those two terms as synonyms. I use the same definition for both terms. That definition is as follows: a global system of people who classify themselves as white and are dedicated to abusing and or subjugating everyone in the known universe whom they classify as not white.
Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war.